What's the deal? What's the deal? Like, why make up so many rumors? Most of the rumors don't even be real rumors. These are rumors that you guys are making up and everybody run with. Like, so what's the deal?
Wow, so AJ Brown just finally did what needed to be done as he went on WIP to call out the media and expose them for their lies about him and many other things, including his relationship with Jalen Hurts, as well as the possibility of him being traded from the Eagles. Now, in addition to all that, the Eagles should also have massive plans in free agency after this major news just came out. But what do the Eagles need to do to prepare for it? Well, we're going to talk about all that and more in this video today, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. So if you followed the Eagles throughout this past season and into the offseason, you know that AJ Brown and the media, specifically the Philly media, haven't exactly been on the best terms, and this stems from multiple things, but it's really been going on since the start of last year, as for some reason, it just seems like the media has made it their mission to destroy the reputation of AJ and make him out to be some sort of diva when that's just simply not the case. Now, it started with this little sideline argument that AJ had with Jalen Hurts in their Week 2 win over the Vikings, as the media was kind of painting AJ as the bad guy and acting like he was a diva or was complaining about targets because in that game he only had 4 catches for 29 yards, and it kind of just snowballed from there. Much later in the year, AJ started to become very frustrated, as did the rest of the team, albeit as that was happening when their season was starting to unravel, but it just seemed like AJ was the guy that everyone was talking about, especially in the media. So AJ then decided to stop talking to the media for a while so as to not compound a negative with more negativity, as he later explained. I mean, he refused to talk after the win over the Giants, then for the entire next week he stayed silent, and after their loss to the Cardinals, he chose not to say anything either, and it was only midway through that next week, just after the Philly Inquirer essentially dropped a hit piece on him saying that he was tearing the Eagles locker room apart, where he eventually decided to break his media silence, and he gave an incredible press conference where he fired back at that Inquirer article written by Marcus Hayes, and he defended the coaching staff while putting 100% of the blame for the struggles on himself and the players. Now, I personally thought that AJ handled that whole press conference really well, and I kind of thought that maybe the media would start to chill out on him after that, but that certainly was not the case. As after he went down with an injury that next week against the Giants, AJ decided to deactivate his Twitter and delete pretty much all of his football posts on Instagram just to lock in on recovering and eliminate distractions, and he also later said that it was just to help him grow as a person, but the media ran with the narrative that this instead meant that he was for some reason pissed off with the Eagles, and maybe he might even want to be traded. So then naturally, once the offseason began the next week, we started to see some AJ Brown trade rumors pop up. But these rumors weren't stemming from reports of trusted NFL insiders, they were instead coming from made-up scenarios by the media. And one of the main ones came from the popular WIP radio, which of course is a sports radio show based in Philadelphia. The Philly media themselves helped essentially create this rumor out of nowhere when it really has no merit. I mean, even if the Eagles wanted to trade AJ for some reason, they would then have to eat the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history, but why would they even want to trade AJ in the first place? Like, why would you trade arguably the best wide receiver in Eagles history, a guy who has put up the 2 highest single season receiving totals in franchise history the past 2 seasons, and who's also in his prime? Like, it just makes no sense. And also, from the other side of it, why would AJ even want to be traded? Like, he's seen the most success he's had so far in his young career in his 2 years in Philly. He's become one of the clear leaders in that locker room. He's also had a lot of team success despite the collapse last year. There's just really no reason to think that he's mad at the team. The only thing he seems to be unhappy with is the Philly media and the agenda that they seem to have against him, and also at times just the negative narratives pushed about the Eagles in general. And while I do want to say that I do understand that this is Philly and the fans and the media will always hold the players accountable, which is a good thing, plus in the dead of the offseason we obviously have to talk about hypotheticals sometimes, I just want to emphasize that there's a clear difference between that and then just making things up out of thin air that make absolutely no sense, and then also continuing to push certain agendas and narratives against players, and that's honestly what the Philly media has been doing recently. So that's why it was so awesome to see AJ finally call them out for it, and this happened over the course of 2 days, where on Wednesday he tweeted, quote, "Philly media is so lame. It's literally something every day. Then the fans believe the BS. They really should start raising the prices of microphones and cameras because you people will say anything for views. I see why nobody likes us because we don't even like us. Hashtag reality TV." Now, there was some speculation as to whether or not this was actually AJ tweeting this because a fan had apparently hacked his account, but it has since been confirmed by AJ himself that this was in fact him saying this, and it was just awesome to hear him say what I'm sure everyone was thinking. But if that wasn't awesome enough, what happened next was even better. But before we get into that, I do want to ask you guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already and also turned on notifications, I encourage you to go do that right now if you don't want to miss any coverage coming throughout the rest of this entire Eagles offseason, including the swarm of free agency that's about to kick off in a couple weeks. We're going to be covering all that, so again, make sure you subscribe and really importantly turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like just to show some support. I'd greatly appreciate it. And now with that being said, let's get back into the video. So just hours after that initial tweet, AJ put out out another tweet that has since been deleted declaring that he would go on WIP the next day, as he was seemingly fed up at that point. And he delivered on that promise, as on Friday afternoon, he called into the show and he went off as he called out the media for their lies and their agendas against him, while also debunking any of the media-created drama between him and Jalen Hurts, and also the stupid trade rumors and the notion that he's unhappy in Philly. So let's go through the highlights. Now let's start with the trade rumors and the concept of him being unhappy in Philly, as literally the first thing that they asked him was whether he's happy in Philly or not, and he shut down any media-created notion that he didn't want to be in Philly, saying this:
I have no problem. I want to be here. It's as simple as that. I love where I'm at. As simple as that. Next question.
Okay.
Now, in addition to shutting that garbage narrative down, he also called out WIP to their faces and the Philly media in general for creating some of these ridiculous trade rumors, saying, quote, "What's the deal? You guys are supposed to be supporting Philly, but it don't turn out to be that. Why make up so many rumors? Because most of the rumors don't even be real rumors. These are rumors that you guys are making up and everybody runs with it." And on top of this, there was also this awesome exchange where AJ again was being asked about his happiness in Philly, and this is what he said.
I thought the biggest questions people wanted to know, AJ, is your happiness with being here in Philadelphia.
Why would somebody even think that I wasn't even happy?
Well, I mean, you didn't talk to the media for a little bit there, and
I mean, you wonder why. You see what the media is doing right now. This past whole month, you wonder why I'm not talking to them. I don't want to talk to them because no matter what I say, you guys gonna make a story anyway and pinpoint it however you want to pinpoint it.
This was just so great to hear because honestly, this is just what everyone is so frustrated about right now when it comes to the Philly media. Like, why go out of your way to make up rumors or trade scenarios that don't even make any sense and then push them out, making it seem like they're actual reports when all that does is cause drama? Like, it's just unreal, which was why it was so refreshing to hear AJ call them out on their show like that. And he also made sure to clarify, just in case anyone was still in doubt and anyone in the Philly media still didn't believe him, that he's happy in Philly, saying this at the end of the call.
I just want to let Philly know I love them. And everybody who's making those rumors, hey, man, you need to find another job, man.
I absolutely love it, but we're not done discussing this call yet because he talked about quite a bit more. He explained the Eagles' collapse last season, saying, quote, "People asking what happened, we were never really playing like the best team in the league. We had the best record in the league, but we were scratching it out. Later on, it was a domino effect and we couldn't stop the bleeding." And that just makes perfect sense, and in my mind is a great explanation. I mean, the Eagles were never really playing like they were the best team in the league. They were just eking out flawed wins, and it eventually caught up to them. And I've already gone pretty deep into the Eagles' collapse, so I won't here, but overall, I did like what AJ said on that. And what I liked even more was him denying any sort of personal friction between him and Jalen Hurts, which yet again is another media-created thing that has never had any merit, as he shot that down pretty early in the interview as well.
I think that's total BS. I'm not going to get into me and his relationship on the air, but it's total BS. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a problem when I was on my six game streak. They wasn't talking about that then. So they only started talking about that when we started losing. So of course, yeah, you see friction. You see friction from everybody, from the coaches to the players, from everybody. So yeah. So there you go.
I really don't know where this stupid idea even came from. Like, Jalen's the godfather to AJ's kid, and we're talking about, oh, is AJ mad at Jalen? Is their relationship a problem? Like, seriously, it just makes no sense at all. Pretty much just like the agenda that the Philly media and WIP specifically seems to have against AJ makes no sense as well. Like, I don't understand how we see a man who's a little frustrated on the sideline expressing that emotion in a controlled and reasonable way, and then the media puts things out and acts like grown men just can't have a discussion, and things can't get a little animated there without there being a serious underlying issue. Like, I honestly think they're just reading too much into it and trying to get clicks at that point, while also continuously pushing a negative agenda about AJ that he's a diva or something like that, and it's honestly just not true. And AJ called him out for saying this too, saying, quote, "I'm not trying to change the media. I know it's been like this and it'll be like this when I leave. I just think I'm so misunderstood. Everyone wants to paint me like a diva. I yell on the sidelines and y'all assume it's about targets. What if I'm holding people accountable? Y'all just assume it's anger." And he later added, quote, "I'm never going to stop being myself. I'm never going to shy away or be afraid to speak out, and that's how I'm going to be until I'm 6 feet underground. I had the balls to call into this show and explain myself. If I don't talk to the media, it's just that I don't want to." And he also later further explained his emotions on the sideline, saying, quote, "What if my flare-ups on the sideline are because I care so much and want to hold people accountable and get them back up? Y'all just don't see it from Jalen because that's not his personality. But it's mine. I can do that because nobody works as hard as me and puts the work in as much as me, and I stand on that. Y'all take it as anger. It's passion." And honestly, that's exactly what I've personally been saying all along. AJ is not being a diva and complaining about targets. He simply just wants to win. He can't stand to lose. He doesn't want people to be making these mistakes, so he's willing to hold them accountable, and those emotions coming out just shows how much he cares. That is it. Overall, honestly, huge shout out to AJ Brown. Thank you for saying what everybody was thinking about the Philly media. I can assure you most of Philly loves you, AJ, and we hope that you play the rest of your career in an Eagles uniform. Now, I still do have a couple more things that I want to talk about to round out this video. One being that the Eagles have officially finalized their coaching staff, and overall, I'm really excited about this new group. I think there are some intriguing coaches in here and some overall great hires. The two guys that I'm specifically most excited to have join the staff are Clint Hurt and Christian Parker. I really think that those two guys are both tremendous pickups and ones that could end up making a big difference for the Eagles this season, but what do you guys think? Now, something else that's really interesting that came out yesterday was the NFL raising its salary cap, with Ian Rappaport reporting the news that the new salary cap is going to be around $255 million, which is a $30 million increase from last season. Now, for the Eagles, this means that they should have around $33 million in cap space before making any moves, which is just insane, and this is also great news for their plans in free agency, which should be huge at this point. One, I think it becomes a lot more likely that the Eagles could potentially keep Haason Reddick around on an extension, which would also add $11 million in cap space to that total for this year. They also still have yet to cut Kevin Byard, which will add another $13 million to that total. Plus, they haven't done the extensions of DeVonta Smith and Landon Dickerson yet, and that'll save a bit more space as well. Plus, there are also some other moves that they can make to create even more cap space, so safe to say, the Eagles will probably enter free agency with a ton of money, definitely over $50 million, maybe even $60 million, and also, they're going to have some big plans as well. I mean, like I said, they're going to have a ton of money to work with, so they're probably going to go out and target some big-time players. I mean, Xavier Howard, the corner from the Dolphins who just played under Vic Fangio last season, will reportedly be cut by the Dolphins, so I don't know, could that be something that the Eagles are interested in? He did have a down year last year, but he has been one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL over the past 5 or so seasons, and he's apparently going to have a big market, so maybe the Eagles could have some interest, although I will admit he is older and on the downside of his career, but that was just an example, and it was the most recent news, so I did want to talk about that briefly, but you got other guys out there, like maybe a Sneed, who I talked about in a previous video. He's considerably younger. Maybe he becomes a much more realistic option now. You also got Patrick Queen, who I talked about in my last video. I think he'd be a great addition to the Eagles. I think we obviously need a linebacker, and I want a big-time playmaker at that position. Maybe he's more realistic now as well. There's just honestly so many guys out there that I could really see the Eagles going after. Maybe someone like a Jalen Johnson, who the Eagles had interest in at the trade deadline. I mean, that was just a handful of names, but there is so many more options out there, and I'm just really getting excited for this free agency because I think the Eagles are probably going to make a lot of moves. I think they're going to get a lot of really good additions, and I also think they'll probably have maybe 1 or 2 surprising big moves as well. Now, I'm going to be covering free agency extensively on this channel, so if you don't want to miss any of that coverage, make sure you subscribe, and again, really importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. It helps me out a ton, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. What did you think of AJ's comments on WIP? And also, if you want to watch another video going over potential big name linebacker options in free agency, you can check this out right here. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.